minute acute low back pain treatment. There is some assessment that goes into whether or not you're going to do this. We've already assessed Kamiley. This is our model for today. She does have a acute injury. She was in a car accident 1 month ago. There was some nerve pain, numbness in the toes. This is your second treatment?
Second.
So we're going to do the second treatment on film after the first session. Tell them what happened after the first session.
After the first session, my lower left hip pain was already gone, and my tingling also left, and it's still gone to about 2 weeks ago.
So 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
we did the session. The reason it's gone is because we were able to decompress the pressure on the nerve from the injury, but as she went home, she did the homework associated with that, which is what we call the spinal decompression RX, or resting position. That is a vital component, because when she feels that pain creeping back, hard day, long day in the car, whatever it is that causes compression, that spinal decompression RX, she knows she can go home, get into position, and get relief within how many minutes would you say?
Couple minutes.
Couple minutes, she
Just
gets
couple
relief.
minutes.
And so you repeat relief, the brain starts to seek relief on its own, and that's where you get into homeostasis, where the body starts to balance itself out in a pain-free mobile state. We're gonna start this on her unaffected side, and it is a sideline treatment off the end of the table. So go ahead and lay on your side, Kamiley. Head goes on the bolster. The affected side is her left side, and because that's the case, we want it decompressed. So before I do anything on the right side, I'm going to simply come right under her hip here, and because I start up here and slide, I don't have to work hard digging under. So I'm going to just come right under the hip. I have her ASIS in my hand, and I'm putting counter pressure on this hip, and so I'm pushing this hip up as the other one comes down, and we create traction in her low back there. It's a tiny piece, but so important. As the first thing we're going to do is a little positional release. So I'm going to take her hip and her ribs and put them close together. Nice deep breaths. So we're going to hold that for a couple breaths. And then as she keeps breathing, I'm going to start following her breath. So when she exhales, I'm in a traction. Inhale, I'm going to let it go back together. Exhale, traction. Inhale, and exhale. And we're just getting this area used to some movement. And for best results, you want the client to participate in the movement. The brain's favorite language is movement. So the more they're able to move, the faster the body responds and the quicker they heal. So we're going to put a little bit of lotion on the areas we're going to work. I got it. And right now I'm just applying lotion, warming up the tissue, and I would say it seems like I'm lazy, because I am. I don't like to work too hard. So I use my knuckles a lot, which protects my thumbs. I use my palms. I use the web of my hand, but I almost never will dig with my thumb. So here I'm going to put pressure on the hip, and you see the movement created by the pressure. That's what you're looking for. And then now you're decompressing. And now I have pressure with my hand on her hip going down. I did a stroke to lengthen. Now I'm pinning that length with my forearm. So now we're just getting a little bit of length here. And you just keep breathing nice and deep, Kamiley. And then there we go. So now comes audience participation. Kamiley is going to move her leg. So you're going to inhale up to here. Exhale down as far as your leg can comfortably go. And that's the movement. Inhale up, exhale down.
And the leg only needs to come up to hip height.
Yep.
Yes? Okay.
Go down as far as you can. Use those inner thigh muscles to pull your leg down. And so many massage therapists want to know how to work the QL, how to work the QL. Well, I'll tell you right now, the QL does not like to be digged upon. And this works really well because it's a hip hiker and we're creating movement. As she exhales and it goes down, the hip comes away from the ribs. QL is attached to your 12th rib and the transverse processes of your lumbar spine and the top of your ilium. So all the movement there is reinforcing good mobility of this entire area. So from the QL, I always like to do a nice calming afterwards. We're going to go right into the hip rotators. And so if you take the foot and drop it off the other foot, it gives you external rotation of the femur, and then this is internal rotation. If they feel a pinch in the femur, just don't go that high. So this can be very tender. You let me know if the pressure's okay. And we're just running through. So that was piriformis, that tender spot right there. And so you can change the pressure. Now I'm using the heel of my hand instead of my knuckles. If this is difficult for you to do, you could simply drop in with the forearm. If you wanted to get real specific, although I don't recommend it, you can use the point of your elbow, but that is going to be intense. So you want broader pressure, and with each pin and stretch, so here we've shortened it, we've pinned it, we've stretched it, we've released the pressure. Fresh oxygenated blood can come through. And it's tender on her, so I'm going to go with the lightest pressure, the heel of my hand. It's not my fingers doing the work, it's the heel.
Kamila, when you said it was tender, how much pressure did you feel like he was applying?
It's really right there. That's the spot.
So this is her piriformis right here, and her piriformis is tight.
Yes.
And so I'm putting about 3 to 5 pounds of pressure, like nothing.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But because it's so tight, and I'm getting so much range of motion, the brain is like, oh, hello. And that's why I release the pressure every time so blood can flow. Now, if you adjust their feet with your knee, make sure your knee is well bent, because if they adjust themselves and your knee is straight, you're going to get a hyperextension injury. So you have a lot of leverage here. Like if I want her knees to go further up, I just push them up. If I want them to come down, I just come down. And I'm just using my hip, so I don't have to work too hard. So nice, smooth that out. Then we're going to come around the side, but I'm going to be on TFL, gluteus medius, and minimus. So we're going to have a little bit of motion there. You could do it through the clothing with just pointed contact and no glide. The tissue responds better to some glide. So same instruction, you're going to go inhale up, exhale down. This is going to be a little tender. How's that feel? Okay. I'm going to ease up there. Now to expose TFL, keep your hips where they are and try to point your toes to the ceiling. So that's external rotation of the thigh. That's tender now.
Tender.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, what did you say about foot placement for TFL? It should be.
So to expose TFL, she's going to turn her hip so the toes point up to the ceiling, external rotation of the femur, and then you're going to work right up through there. So it's going to be below ASIS, there, more leverage there.
And when you were gliding down the TFL, where were you starting and finishing that stroke?
Start right under ASIS to the head of the trochanter. And now rotate your toes so they point to the floor. So turn your hip down. There it is. And that exposes gluteus medius and minimus. And that's tender too, huh?
Yep.
But notice I release the pressure with every rep so that fresh blood can get in there.
And then same thing with the strokes down the minimus and medius would be from the edge all the way down to the head, yeah?
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, so now this one, I'm gonna have you have like a sleepy time there. The action is to work gluteus maximus, and in order to do so, we want to take glute max through its full range of motion. So extension, internal rotation, flexion to external rotation. So here we go. Take a big breath in. Go ahead and take your knee straight to the table in front of your other knee and pick it up over your shoulder. Yeah, there it is. Inhale. Exhale. Perfect.
And then I know I've heard you say before, what are some of the like just short cues you like to tell them for their knee?
So you inhale back here, exhale, hit the table, and then pick it up. And wait till we get to the other side. And I'm putting about 5 pounds, 10 pounds of pressure.
Like it's just
Not a
lean.
lot. Yeah. And then for modesty sake, we're staying on the clothing, but you could, depending on the client, you could hook into a stretchy clothing and come through with the glide and the movement at the same time.
And when you are doing that
So
glider,
that would look like this. So I take the waist here, and as she moves, I have my knuckles in there, and I'm actually gliding through the entire glute all the way to the ischial tuberosity. But not everybody's going to be comfortable with that. You'll find people in acute pain are much more willing because it works so fast, but you have to be very clear about what you're doing. Now from there, you might want to bring the camera over here so that we can get what's happening in this hip. Okay, so I'm going to be blocking with my hip her L5S1, and we want a solid contact. So actual bone conduction, my hip touching hers. And this gives her the confidence, without me having to say anything, that her spine isn't going to go anywhere it doesn't want to go because it's blocked in place. From here, let me hold the weight of your leg. All you focus on, when you exhale, you're going to bring your knee as far back behind you as you can. Okay, inhale big and bring your knee back. Squeeze that glute. And you feel the stretch on the front of your hip? Any discomfort in your back?
No.
Inhale big, exhale, squeeze that glute. And on the other side, we're actually going to introduce pressure into here. Inhale forward, exhale back, and that will give us access to iliacus and a little bit of psoas. Good.
you're just holding, yeah?
Yep,
You're
just holding the weight. And squeeze that glute. Last 3, I want you to blow real hard. Good. Now I'm taking her leg long and rotating my body to increase the stretch as she squeezes the glute and opens the hip. Perfect. And take a break. And then we go in and make nice to the hip flexor. Let this leg be heavy, let it hang. Keep it right there. Hook this elbow on top of mine. Make sure your body mechanics are good when you help the person up. No sense in you hurting your back. So if that doesn't look like it's going to feel good to you, you can change where you pull from. Okay,
So you're
switch sides.
holding down her hip as you pull, yeah, like a lever.
Yep, everything's levers and handles. So she just self-adjusted to create length. As long as they're paying attention.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the affected side. She's breathing deeply. I am shortening the distance between her left side of the rib cage and left hip, which is taking all pressure off of QL, oblique, and that lower erector. And then I can take that, so I'm taking the ribs and the hip and pushing them together. And you can feel the tension there. It's something to behold. Now, if this was a full treatment and I had access while she was on her left side down, I would have cupped this just to get blood in there.
Where's this? Sorry, I can't see where
So here, 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 here,
Oh, right along her.
Full erector.
When she was the other way
From
around.
the SI joint, yeah, while that's down, so I can still do all my work on the right side. I would be cupping the left just to get the blood to flow in there. Little tissue decompression while the other side is getting worked. Can you see good in there? So now I'm going to push this hip down, create length, coming up. You just keep breathing nice and big. And a lot of people will start to get relief right here because this has been so locked up. As I'm doing this, coming up to the rib cage and pushing the hip down, that's decompressing. You can feel that stretch. And then I always like to check, okay, still tight, still sore. And I'll go the other way. All right. Straight leg. You're gonna inhale up to here, exhale down. And you want this as close to in line with your body as possible. Pressure is okay, Kamila?
Yeah.
So I'm just using the web of my hand, not digging with my thumb. Inhale up, exhale down. Using my knuckles, whatever works is what you use. And just know that their movement is more important than what you're doing. You're just following their movement. The movement reinforces in the brain that it's time to get better. So that softened this up quite a bit. It's already starting to be happier.
And with the stroke that you have her moving her leg, is there a generalized like no more than X amount?
Good question. How many strokes should you do?
With like that side, having her move her leg.
I'm not counting right now, but between 7 and 10 is plenty because you don't want to overly fatigue them.
Okay.
They're going to be moving their leg a few times throughout this.
But at least like more than 5.
Yeah. Enough to reinforce it. Inhale, exhale. Okay, when we get to this side, right up in here, tender.
Yeah. Tender.
So tender, I'm not going to use my knuckles. That was just to check. And we're looking for as much range as we can get. So as soon as I bring her foot in front of her other foot, that gives me the external rotation of the hip. And then all the way up to there's a little resistance in there. Okay, from here we move into TFL, gluteus minimus and medius. Issue from here. Okay, so inhale, lift, exhale, lower. How's that pressure?
That's fine. It's sore, but it's
Okay. Okay, rotate so your toes point to the ceiling. Perfect. See how that opened TFL right up? So even here you can use that forearm if you need.
And you're just pinning
Yep.
the stitch.
Yep.
And your arm on the right side, it's not holding her, it's just guiding her.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, now rotate so your toes point to the floor. Perfect.
ooh.
This is the spicy spot right there. And you can actually feel how tight the tissue is through there.
So with some people, sometimes their leg drifts.
You guide it.
Okay. Or like their hip starts to open this way.
You guide it.
Okay.
Ooh, wee. Spicy.
That one was. So that's the other reason we do this afterwards.
Make nice.
Yeah, make nice. Okay, so this one glute. So you're gonna inhale here, exhale, hit the table, then pick it up. Inhale, exhale, pick it up. So because I'm not dragging through with my knuckles with her waistband, I'm hitting a different spot, boom, 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 with each rep.
And where's the direction of your force? Down? Like in and down? Okay.
That would be the perfect scenario. Would be, here, I'll do it in slow motion. So go real slow. Perfect scenario, we're here, guiding, guiding, guiding. You come right off the ischial tuberosity.
Okay.
Then pick another spot, right off.
But you know how you're just holding?
Mm-hmm.
You're pushing in and down.
Yeah,
right?
I'm pushing right through and
Okay.
down towards my leg, my left leg. Up, 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 up. Pick it up. There it is. Last one. Pick it up. Perfect. Take a break.
How was that going?
Oh, that was spicy.
Experience.
I'm just gonna keep that spicy. I have a pretty good
So now
tolerance for
I'm
pain.
blocking with my hip, and she's gonna inhale big, exhale, bring it back as far as you can. Squeeze your glute as much as you can.
Am I doing like a heel out?
Yep, like a donkey kick. Squeeze that glute. Good. And then I'm gonna come in and apply pressure to iliacus.
And you're just placing your thumb there, right?
So this can bring up some emotional stuff in people, and you just respect it. And if it's too much, you don't have to do this. The movement is more important. Really squeeze this glute. Good.
Their movement is more important
More
than what we're
important
doing.
than any pressure you put on them. So we're just reinforcing to the brain that you are capable of movement. Movement is good. Movement will help you. Now, sideline. Okay, I'm gonna ease up. So sideline, everything is being pulled down with gravity. So when you get up under ASIS, you're there. You don't have to dig. And so once you're there and she goes into stretch, that's pin and stretch already. And you see how that sinks in? No problem. A little scary, isn't it, Kamila?
Yeah.
Inhale. I'm not going to press. So this pressure is only enough to put a dent in the skin. It is not like you're going to send someone flying if you put pressure. But like I said, this is more important. This movement, squeeze that glute. Because of reciprocal inhibition, when this turns on, this turns off. So having the brain do the work is way more important than your thumb. Nice, nice. Let that hang. So another option, if you want to let that hang down, is you come around, hook, and then help her up that way. If you want to be, body mechanics, you can change your body mechanics to make it work. Go ahead and walk around. See how that feels.
I feel blood flow.
She feels blood. You feel taller.
Yeah, I just feel things just. Actually, I need to stand here for a second.
Yeah. Collect yourself. A
Ooh,
lot happened in a
wee.
short amount of time.
Sure did.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a lot of flow happening here.
So what you want to tell your clients when you do a treatment like this is that as good as you feel now, it takes the brain about 24 to 36 hours to reorganize, absorb, assimilate, integrate, whatever word you want to use. It takes about that long. So tomorrow, it's almost 3 p.m. now, so tomorrow around 7, 8 p.m., she'll probably feel better than she does walking out the door. But tomorrow morning, she might feel like she got hit by a truck. That's normal. Set the expectation, hydrate, resting position, all the things that support the work. What happens outside of that door is so much more important than what happens on our table.